healthcare, there is often too much information and not enough time. Here at the Melanin Initiative, we avoid TMI by breaking things down into language you can understand. We create a safe space for you to ask your questions and share a nursing perspective without taking up too much of your time. Today is a super fun episode. We're joined by the founder, CEO, and president, Dr. Danielle McCamey. You've heard her name multiple times if you've watched any of our episodes, and today she's going to talk to us all about the upcoming DMPs of Color conference that'll be taking place right here in the city of brotherly love from October 17th to the 20th. We'll get into the mission and vision of the organization, the details of what you can expect by attending, and we'll get into a little bit of what you can expect in the upcoming months from DMPs of Color. If you're new here, welcome to the Melanin Initiative. I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner and one of your co-hosts here at the Melanin Initiative, along with Alicia and Geraldine, who send their love in their absence. We're a health literacy podcast. When we say health literacy, we're talking about your ability to obtain information, to understand that information, and then to use it, to manage your health and advocate for others. It's our hope that by watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or listening on any of your favorite podcast apps, that you'll be empowered to ask questions, educated on how you can navigate the system, and empowered to manage your health and advocate for others. If you haven't already, this is your chance to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment or two. It lets the algorithm know that this information is important, so that when people like you look for information like this, we'll show up higher in the search results. Remember, this show is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are opinions alone. They're not a representation of any of our affiliations. If you're experiencing a medical emergency, you should seek medical attention and medical guidance from your healthcare provider. If you think you might be having a physical emergency, you should call 911. If you or someone you know might be having a mental health emergency, you can call 988 or text 741-741. Dr. Danielle McCamey, welcome to the Melanin Initiative.
Hey, Dr. Madison.
This is such a delight, such an honor to have you here. Like I said, our audience is very familiar with you. They are very familiar with the term DMPs of Color. Our good friend and member of DMPs of Color is also the guest star of one of our series called Becoming, Doctor of Nursing Practice, Demetrius Kirk from Detroit. What up, though? Now out there in the good old island of Hawaii. And he's been so kind to let us follow his journey through his DNP program. Each semester he comes back, he lets us know how it's been going and what to expect in the next semester. And so through that process, not only are we educating the public so we can dispel any misconceptions and address any confusion that they might have, but also that we can see how his perspective evolves, because all of our perspective evolves the longer we stay in practice. And I love the fact that actually he's not doing a clinical route, right? Because so many of our colleagues think the only thing they can do is be an NP. And while I think it's a great choice, it's not the only. And so we do two things here. We promote health literacy, but we also elevate the voice and expertise of nurses, and also let the public and future people who want to be in the industry know all the options that are available to them. Because once we enter the industry, we realize, oh, there's more than doctors and nurses here. And maybe I would have taken that route had I known that those options were available. So if you can, tell us where you're from and who you consider family.
So, hey, y'all. I am from Alexandria, Virginia, born and raised. And now I am in Baltimore, Maryland, which is a whole new world. And my family, I have, it's so funny. My mom, her name is Shelly McCamey. We have these random things where we'll just randomly call each other on FaceTime and just kind of just do random things. So today's random thing was we were on the stepper. She bought me like this little portable stepper. So I called her playing hot stepper in the background. I'm like, where you at? Where you at? So she's like, hold on, let me grab my stepper. So we stepped for the duration of the song. But that's my mama. And then I have an older sister. Shout out to my sister Latice. And I have 3 wonderful nieces. So that is my crew. And I'm excited to shout them out.
Wonderful. And what got you interested in nursing?
Nursing was my mom's jam. So she did home health nursing, and she also did dialysis nursing as well. And so, but I got inspired to be a nurse because of her, with her taking me along on her home health assignments. And so she would just put me in the corner. Here's your coloring book. Just be quiet, be good. But I would watch her while she would take care of people. And I always was so fascinated how people let her in their home and, do all the activities that they needed, give them medication, help them with their bathing, their eating and stuff. So I was just so fascinated, like, wow, like people allow my mom to come in to do these things. And so I was always just a little curious person. And so I was like, Mom, like, how do you do this? I think that it's magic and I want to be magical like you too. So she's always encouraged me. She was like, yes, go back to be a nurse, but go further than me. So she's definitely my inspiration for my profession and just in life. My mom's pretty amazing.
Well, we think you're pretty amazing too. And so this is such a treat for us. When we're speaking about being amazing, I'm curious, what do you tell people it is that you do when they ask you, what is it that you do for a living?
It depends on the audience. Like if it's my people, I'm like, hey, we out here. But when I have to run down the resume, I always identify as an acute care nurse practitioner. And then I'm also a dean at Hopkins for strategic partnerships. And then also my love is I'm the founder, CEO, president of DNPs of Color. But when I just, want to package it all, I just say I'm in the business of building communities that create opportunities. So that's my passion and my love. And that's just kind of been all that I've done in my life. And I love it.
So we have, like I said, we've talked about DMPs of Color multiple times on this show. Not too long ago, earlier this year, I wrote a whole love letter to you and DMPs of Color because when I did the BSN to DNP program, and I didn't know I was going to graduate in the middle of that and get my MP and continue. So I really hadn't planned to like change up my life like that in the middle. And so I decided to stay at the bedside till I finished, but I still wanted to like have my foot in the community. And there was a time period where we had learned that there was like some PhD trained nurses to work together more often. And like within that same time frame, the organization that we used to work for had a newsletter, and I loved that newsletter. I used to read it all the time. And in there one day was this thing about this DNP PhD collaborative. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I just learned about this. And I looked her up on Google and she was Black and I was excited. And I emailed her to see if they had membership for this organization that I just read about, DNPs of Color, and they had an Instagram page. And she says, well, not yet, but soon. That was 2019. And I'm so proud to say that now in 2024, we began membership. And I'm proud to be one of the first 500 members. And so I just want to shout you out for that. And I really have to thank you for allowing me to be part of that organization. Even though I had no experience, you respected me from the beginning. You helped me get over it. I had a lot of imposter syndrome, right? But you allowed me to still have pride over what I had accomplished and what I was trying to represent. And even though we're in the same peer class, I look up to you as a big sister, as a mentor. You've taught me so much about branding and really just how to have poise and grace, and to see other people have that same experience and relationship with you is such an honor. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. I know the energy that it takes and the passion and the commitment, and we just want to let you know over and over again that what you're doing is making a difference. And so we know it's making a difference, and it never hurts to keep hearing it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had no idea.
It means so much. And even now when I talk to other people, whether they're fresh out of high school or, just growing clinicians, I lean on that experience and how you really help me. It's like your value isn't based on how many patients you've seen, how many hours you've obtained, right? It's really whatever you choose to do with it.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love that you impart that to the next generation, because we get so caught up in standards and qualifications and certifications, and it dehumanizes people, and we don't see the value that they have in what they bring and who they are. And so that's just the lens that I lean into. I'm like, these certifications can expire next day, tomorrow. You could have, a stroke and forget all the things in your mind that you learned, but the essence of you is still there. So I just always just lean to connecting to the humanity of people. And when I see people that have a lot of potential, I just really work to just help expand that and help them discover their potential. So I'm so excited that we had that opportunity to share in that moment. And I love that you're paying that forward. That just means so much to me.
Yeah, and so what I first started helping with was the program committee, very active community, met so often. I love being able to see you rushing from work, eating your dinner through the meeting. And it's like I just got to know you all so closely and intimately. And, you know, we started up doing virtual conferences, and here today you're talking about an in-person conference. And so when I see you all growing and I see that there's meetings and you don't have to be present for all of them, I'm just so proud of you, so happy that you have a team who believes in your vision and who allows you to go eat dinner. You don't have to be every single thing. You know, it sounds small to the public, but it's a big deal because you can have an idea and a dream. We all have them. But when other people buy into and other people commit their time and energy, it says a lot. And you have people out here talking your name up every minute. I've met so many people since I've been out here in this social media space, and it's hard pressed for them not to know who you are.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah. And it's good. It all comes with good grace too.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so speaking of the programming committee, right, they're helping put together this conference. So let's talk about what DMPs of Color means. What's your elevator pitch?
Yeah, so DMPs of Color, we focus on building a community for nurses of color through networking, mentorship, and advocacy with the ultimate goal of increasing diversity in doctoral studies, clinical practice, and leadership. And the main thing, the secret to our sauce is that we create this environment that people just can be unapologetically themselves. And it really fosters that deep connection where what's understood doesn't need to be said. And there's something to be said about that because people find connection in the stories and our lived experiences. We all have some sort of commonality in our journeys. And I love that about us. But it also motivates us to be supportive of each other. And that's the piece that I love about DNPs of Color is that people are sharing the game secrets. People are open to sharing resources, but also genuinely wanting to see people win.
And so what was your motivation for starting it?
Well, I was at a predominantly white institution, and I was the only Black woman in my DNP cohort. And I wanted a community that understood everything that I came with, being a Black woman, the only Black woman, being highly educated, being the first in my family to go to college, let alone doctoral, be in a doctoral program. The way I had to literally work for every single solitary thing from traditional work, working multiple jobs, to just doing things to make sure that people knew that I was worthy to be in the space. And then just when people see how you show up, how they box you in. So just trying to push through that. So, but doctoral studies is difficult. And because I didn't have anyone to lean on to help me navigate some of those difficulties or some of those challenges, I was like, I need to build a community. And so I tried to find it in other nursing organizations, but I was specific. I was like, I need an organization that focused on nurses of color that have their DNP. And I was so resolute in that because there was no other space that focused on DNP prepared nurses. So, it was just hard for people to identify the journey or understand it. So I threw together a Facebook group, not knowing that it would just grow exponentially. But within that month or two, we ended up having like 200 people that just was like, oh my gosh. Like I was Googling and because I needed a community and I found this Facebook group. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. So like I felt validated. I felt seen. I was like, okay, so it's not just me. And so that was we started a Facebook group back in 2016 and then officially became a nonprofit in 2018, but didn't become operational until 2020 because I just felt so insecure about not being a business person. And I was just like, oh, but then I was like, just gotta gotta start it and we'll just figure it out as we go along. And so here we are, out here in these streets making a huge impact. And I'm just incredibly proud.
And you should be. You've done a lot of work, and luckily now you have a whole community to continue that vision moving forward. So let's get into the details of the conference.
Hey.
So is registration still open? Mhm.
So registration just closed, but we did extend the registration for the gala. So if people still want to come out and party with us, we're having a sneaker gala that is still open, but the general conference registration is closed. And so this is our fourth annual conference. It's going to be in Philly, October 17th through the 20th, which is next week, which is like wild. I'm like, yeah, I've got 2 weeks. And I'm looking at the calendar. I was like, no, you've got 7 days. And so this theme is the Power Playbook, Leadership, Advocacy, and the Arts. And we were intentional in creating that because when you think about power, when you have a certain level of education, you acquire privileges that give you power. And then the playbook is how you are able to kind of put all these game secrets in place to be able to play the game and leverage your power. And some of the tools that we feel like are instrumental to leverage power to create your playbook are leadership, advocacy, and the arts. Leadership, because DNP prepared nurses by design and by education is centered around leadership. And then the advocacy piece is, foundational principle of nursing to be advocates. And then the arts, we felt like nursing hasn't really been focused on the art of it. So we wanted to bring the arts energy back to nursing, but then also using art as a way to express and also a way to think about innovation, thinking outside the box. So at the conference, we're going to have some artistic expressions. So we're going to have spoken word, we're going to have dancers, we're going to have musicians, we're going to have paint, we're going to have, just any type of art. And finding nurses that are in the arts is absolutely amazing. So we found a couple of folks that will be sharing their art and expressing the healing that it has offered them. And then I'm really excited because we have our keynote, it's Dr. Uche Blackstock. She is a New York Times best-selling author of the book Legacy. So she's going to bless us with some words of wisdom and also sign some books.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love this attention to the arts, right? Because in the beginning of nursing school, we learned that nursing is an art and a science, but that art piece, we don't seem to hear it again after that first week, right? And so I think you would agree, right? When we do get out here and we do start participating in professional organizations, we're out here in social media, in entrepreneurship, we get the chance to really explore that creative side. And I think for a lot of us, it could really help alleviate some of that burnout
That part.
and also see how much of our value we really do bring to our community and of course our practice. And so, yeah, it has been a blessing to me, and to be able to bring that out in our colleagues, to show them all the other talents that they can bring to the table. And it really might provide that balance when we give so much and we hit that compassion and decision fatigue, to be able to relieve that. And then if we adopt like fun stuff like painting and music and poetry, we can share it with our patients who also can benefit from that.
Absolutely. And that's the energy that we want to remind people of, and that, things that we do in everyday nursing is an expression of art. And so I'm really excited about it. It's just going to create a different element. And that's what I like when I think about things. I'm always intentional about the energy that we bring to the experience, because we want to curate an experience of connection, and also that resonates with people, and so that they have an educational experience, but that human connection experience as well.
And so each conference, you like to be in a museum. Can you just share with our audience the meaning behind that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So I'm kind of nerdy. I love history, arts, and culture. And so every year my team's like, are we doing it in the museum? I'm like, yes, because the people said on the survey they wanted to have the conference in the museum and not a hotel. So we're gonna make it work. And so the museum piece came because I wanted to give people an experience to have the opportunity to learn about history and culture. I mean, as we can see today, a lot of that is being erased, rewritten, deleted, and then also patronizing museums, they're nonprofit organizations, and then just a way to give back to the community in that way. And then it's just kind of a fun space. There are some logistical things that we have to consider because they're not used to accommodating conference style attendees, but so far we've had such a great experience. And this year is going to be at the Franklin Institute, which is a science and technology museum, which is absolutely amazing. So the mix and mingle is going to be next Thursday, and it's going to be in the planetarium. So I was like geeking out when I went in to view this space, so that we're going to be under the moon and stars, and it's just going to be super, super dope. And then the next day, we're going to actually just be in a Franklin theater. With our conferences, we don't do multiple tracks. We tried that one year and we got a lot of negative feedback. And people really like the single track and to be able to experience the education together. And so we'll be in the Franklin Theater, and then Saturday night, it's going to be our Dr. Virginia Allen and Mary Eliza Mahoney Scholarship and Awards Gala, and that's going to be in the, they have this huge foyer that's just majestical, and then cocktail hour is going to be one of the exhibits called The Brain, which I'm just super excited about. It's like this whole maze that you go through, and it has these different visual things and these different educational pieces about how your brain processes information. I wanted the heart because they have an exhibit of the heart, but that's under construction. So we ended up going with the brain, and really, really excited about it. And then on Sunday, we'll be doing our nonprofit community service event, which that's an element that we like to have, is always giving back in that way. So we adopt a nonprofit every conference. And this year it's the Art Well, and they focus on youth and cultivating their creative side and utilizing art to help with mental health, and also to help them learn more about their identity and how they show up and are productive in the world. So we're going to be hosting a silent auction throughout this week and announce the winners at the gala. But then on Sunday, it's going to be a virtual fundraiser. So our goal is $10,000. So for those that would love to participate and donate, please donate.
That's awesome. So you said the auction that's happening right now?
Yes, so the auction is happening right now. I can't remember the link though. I think it's like DNPs of Color. Yeah, and but it's on all of our social media platforms. So we have, it's so awesome because the youth donated some commissioned art pieces, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, these are so good. So would love to give a report back to them that their art sold for $100 or $200. So would love people to participate in that, because all the proceeds go to Art Well so that they can really move their mission and pour into these youth and helping them expand their creativity.
Yeah, we'll definitely have the link so people can sign up for the gala. They can participate in the auction, and of course they can become members of DMPs of Color, which, by the way, you don't have to be a DMP to sit with me. We have membership options for everyone, whether you're a nurse or not, whether you have a doctoral degree or not, you're welcome to sit with us.
Love that. Yes. That needs to be a t-shirt.
Hey. So for our audience who's never been to a conference, what are the benefits of attending a professional organization event like this?
Oh my gosh, it's endless. Like when I reflect on last year's conference, we had a group of students that came, and by the end of that conference, they had mentors, they had clinical placements, they had DNP project sites, and then they had future employment. And so being in the space, people come and their cups are empty. And so one of the pieces that really became clear to me at the end of last year's conference, because so many people were just coming up to me and hugging me and having that soul cry. And it just hit me in my heartstrings, because people are really being traumatized in some of these spaces where they're the only one. And to see other people that are doctorally prepared, that are out here killing the game, was just so inspiring and so cup filling for them, that they were like, I am worthy of being in my space. I have a whole community of people that are out here in these streets doing what they got to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I got to do. So it's just a healing space. The networking and the organic mentorship is world class. And then the programming is dope. Like, I have to give a shout out to Dr. Janice Linton and her crew. They're the ones that go through all the abstracts and curate the educational experience. But the quality of abstracts that we get is just out of this world. So you get education, you get a community, you get your cup filled, you get to cut a rug with us at our gala, which is always a fun time. And but most of all, you leave knowing that you are worthy of the space that you're in. So take up that space, own that space. We've got a whole community that's rooting for you, and it's just such a joy to just be amongst folks that you can connect with without any code switching or any performative measures. You just be yourself. Well, when you go to conferences, you have to be prepared to network. So I recommend having a QR code available on LinkedIn. They offer a QR code function. So I don't think people know about that. But if you don't want to necessarily give out your phone number, give them your LinkedIn, but also make sure your LinkedIn is up to date, because that's like the modern day resume, if you will. People are like, all right, what's the LinkedIn looking like? So make sure your LinkedIn is up to date. And because we curate this environment that's comfortable, everyone knows that we're there to connect. Just go up to people like, hey, like, I saw your talk. I'm interested. Can we, set up a Zoom call or something like that? And for me, Calendly has been a lifesaver. So if you can set up a calendar invite function, that makes it easier to help get those meetings on your calendar.
Perfect. I love all of those. I should be getting paid by LinkedIn the number of times I've emphasized to clinicians the importance of it.
Yes.
And I have my own YouTube channel, and just last weekend when I went live, I told people, just go to ChatGPT, tell it what to include, make it however many words you
Listen,
want. You can be done in 30 seconds. It can be updated. Seriously, it
that
is the one social media platform you need to be on.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody's open to be hit up on LinkedIn. Like, people hit me up all the time. So, but also when you engage with people that you want some of their time, be prepared to follow up and also have a few things on the agenda to talk about, because I've been getting folks hit me up and I love to connect, but I'm also like, I love spending Zoom time with you, but what are some things that you want us to talk about while we have this time together? So come prepared with some of the asks and let people know the value that you see, that you want to connect and expand upon, and hope that you can also expand some of your expertise and value. So be prepared, have your QR code. Don't be afraid to talk to people, but always follow up and have stuff on your agenda to talk about when you get the meeting.
I couldn't agree more. So you mentioned the gala, and it happens to be a sneaker gala, and there happens to be a special sneaker associated with that.
Hey.
So tell us more.
Yeah, so the sneaker gala, I have to give credit to our student representative, Dr. Michael Williams. He put that together. He identifies as a sneakerhead. And he was sharing with me that sneaker culture has been instrumental in a lot of social justice movements, especially for Black and African Americans. And so I had no idea that sneaker culture, helps, symbolizes a lot of status, and just help with, was very instrumental in combating racism, like all these things. So I'm like, well, absolutely, let's do a sneaker gala. And so he was like, well, I've got a crew here in Texas that, customizes sneakers. And so can we collaborate with them? So I was like, absolutely. So we ended up collaborating with a sneaker boutique by the name of Kicking It. So shout out to Kicking It. And then also a, sneaker artist, Nards Got Soul. And so they put together some razzle dazzle. And so DMPs of Color has their two custom line Air Force Ones. One's called the Inspire, which is our basic blue and white Air Force One. And the other one's called the Transform, which is like a combination of like lightning bolts and all of our brand colors. So it's a little bit more louder than the Inspire. And so just really excited to switch it up and just also embrace sneaker culture into the gala. But also it was intentional so that people understand that you can be a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner, rock your sneakers, and still take care of people with the best of them, and just really breaking up that societal mold of what a professional practitioner should look like. And so that was another piece as to why we're welcoming sneakers into the conference and also to the gala, to just bust up those societal norms, just to be like, you can't define me or minimize me to my sneakers. There's so much more facets to me that contribute value to the care of you, or to the amplification and elevation of just the environment. So I'm really hyped about the sneakers. I got both lines. So I'm going to be suited and booted with my sneakers, and then I'm going to be dressed up with my sneakers at the gala. So really excited about it. So shout out to Mike for his vision.
Yeah, shout out to Mike. He's a huge supporter and just a great character in general. Really, really sweet person. That story does two things. One, it gives an example of what we talked about earlier, the importance of art in nursing, right? And how you can bring your talents to your professional organizations. It's not just your clinical expertise.
Facts.
So there's that part, right? But then there's a space for it, right? You can think, oh, I do this thing, but really there's no space for it. But then you too, as the queen, you recognize this value. You give space for this member in your organization to take off and have flight. You've recognized, I don't know everything. And it's okay. I don't know everything. I don't have to know everything. Even I recognize, as some, it does take a while to get used to calling yourself a visionary, right? But even when God gives you a vision, it doesn't mean it's for you only to hold on to.
Yes.
It's for you to let other people adapt and evolve and mature. You don't have to have all the money, all the time, all the expertise. You just have to have the vision, and then people will come to you. Not everyone wants to be in a leadership position. Not everyone wants to own something and found something, but they would love to help you put together the curtains and the locations, and that we need that. We need those people. We all need to be together. So you're doing two things by sharing that, valuing his contributions, because we all have them. We've all brought ideas forward, and sometimes they don't get met with open arms and opportunity. And you set him up for success too, right? So that he could take ownership of that, and he has, and he's done a beautiful job with it.
He has. Absolutely.
So we got to talk about the food. When I attend these community events as a plant-based eater, I always have to think about, what do I need to put in my bag, because they're not going to have anything for me.
Yeah, so we got a lot of feedback from our food from last year, which I appreciate. And so we were able to take that feedback to add more plant-based, gluten-free, dairy-free options. So there will be lunch options that are in line with that. But we also asked people to let us know what their restrictions were, so that we can make sure we have that available. And then the gala, I'm kind of bougie. I don't like buffet things. So we're going to have plated meals. So we also did a variety. So we have vegan option, we have a meat option, chicken, fish. And so we wanted to make sure that people were happy with the food. So fingers crossed, people are happy with the food.
Thank you. You put together this beautiful event in a gorgeous space, and all the feedback is about those crackers, right? Come on.
But I hear you. People be hungry. Like, I would be like, look, like, I'm hungry.
It is important. Me, Geraldine, and Alicia, we're three straight Black women. And so just like DNPs of color, we always like to think about people who aren't sitting at our table. And so when it comes to the event and like accessibility, what is available for people who need a wheelchair?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you said that. And I have to shout out Dr. Anna Valdez, because she has been mentoring me in having that lens of ensuring that the conference is accessible for everyone. And so with the one of the beauties of having a public space like a museum, they have the ADA considerations and already kind of in place. So what me and my team did, we just kind of outlined a path of travel. So for folks that need to have the accessibility access, we have a path of travel. We're giving people a map. And then the museum is also giving us some additional staff, because we do have folks that will be in wheelchairs at the conference. And then just ensuring that we're building in time for folks to get to the bathroom or take a break or visit the vendors and stuff like that. and just being super mindful of that. So yeah, that's a great question. And as I've been doing a lot of conferencing, I just came from a big conference in Boston, and I'm like, they run out these convention centers, and I was like, God help you if you have a disability or need access to a wheelchair, because you're literally walking miles a day. And I know one day our conference will be big, but I want to be mindful that we're also being inclusive of those that have wheelchairs. And another feedback point that we got, because we're the National Organization of Nurses with Disabilities, NOND, is one of our supporters and sponsors. And they gave us some feedback as well that considering that we add the hybrid option back to the conference, so that folks that can't afford to go and folks that, don't have the abilities to be in a conference space still has that opportunity to get access to the education and some of the community. So we're going to be partnering with them for the next conference just to help us think through all those pieces. So great question. And yes, we are on it, baby.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how you're making space for these things and showing like, look, I didn't know, but now I know I'm going to do something about that. You mentioned the ADA, and so did she also address like people who have sensory deficits? Will that be accessible?
Yeah, so we'll have a different space, and then we also for folks that have visual things have a section for because on our application we ask for any ADA accommodations, so we can build out those spaces to ensure like, okay, folks with visual sit here, folks with auditory here, folks with mobility here. So we've got it pretty much mapped out, hopefully. But we're definitely open for any feedback if there are some things that we missed, so that we can make sure we make the mark for next time.
That's awesome. Any AI?
No AI, no AI. And we talked about that. We have a panel that's talking about innovations like globally. And we do have a panelist that will talk about AI, but we haven't infused that in this one. This one, we wanted to focus in on like the advocacy piece being a big election year. So talking about power, leadership, and advocacy. So that's why this conference is about that. Next year, we'll probably do AI because we'll be in California. So
I'm already trying to I already hit up Dr. Farah to be my roommate. I'm trying to pull her over. If she says no, I'm starting a wait list.
I know that's right.
In 25, it's Oakland. In 26, it's Hawaii, right? Yes. In 27, we're going to Arizona. Yes, here, folks. This is an exclusive.
Yes. I love how you think, Dr. Madison.
Anybody knows me, you ask me what state, I'm always going to say Arizona.
I know that's right. I love Arizona, though.
I'm telling you, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, well, find me a museum that we can have our conference at in Arizona.
That's all you have to tell me, and I'm back with an agenda,
that's right.
options for venues and the whole nine.
Yes.
You gotta know who you're talking to.
I love it. Yeah. Yes.
Is it too late for people to sponsor?
We are taking, as long as folks know that, it's last minute, we're always happy to sponsor or lock people in for next year. So if not this year, please let's lock in for next year. I was checking the email before we got on, and someone was like, so where y'all going to be at 2025? We'd love to sponsor. I'm like, say less, baby. Say less. Yes. So,
and then what are you looking most forward to? This being the fourth one.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking forward to when I walk out on stage from my welcome address, just seeing everyone just so excited to be there, and just it's such a I can't really describe it. Like when I see people locked in on me, it's just such a breathtaking experience. So it's kind of like 51st dates. Like I never get tired of that, feeling of going out on stage and feeling all the love and the support and excitement to be there. So I'm looking forward to walking out and being like, hey, y'all. And everybody be like, yo. And of course, I'm looking forward to getting out on the dance floor, because if people know me, they know I'll be out on the dance floor from start to finish. So now that we have sneakers for this one, I'm not going to take my shoes off. Last year I had to take my shoes off because the feet was barking. But with the sneakers, I'll be able to keep the shoes on and do my dancing from start to finish. So those are the two things I'm looking forward to.
I love it. And so the date of the conference has significant meaning. Can you share that with us as we start to close out?
Yeah, so this year we've coined National DMPs of Color Day on October 19th, which is the founding date when we became an official 501c3 nonprofit. And with that, I was talking to Dr. Stephen Davis about the DNP degree, and we were like, it's the 20th year anniversary of the DNP degree. So I was thinking, I was like, well, let's make a DNP week, a National DNP week. So we're starting off National DNP week with National DNPs of Color Day on October 19th. And then the official 20th anniversary is October 25th. So I was like, October is the month for DNPs. So let's just make it a celebration. So we'll be cutting a rug at the gala for the 19th National DMPs of Color Day. And then I'm hoping to get more people to join in on National DMP Week to do some events every night. So far, we're going to obviously have the gala as the National DMPs of Color Week thing. And then the 20th will be the virtual fundraiser for Artwell. And then the 21st, I actually have Mount Sinai's team. They have developed this fellowship for DMP that want to do translational science. So they're going to be giving a presentation about their fellowship. And then on the 25th, we'll be doing a virtual happy hour, raising our doctails for celebrating 20 years of the DNP degree.
We would love to get any marketing materials, and we'll share that on our platform. Anytime, this is open invitation. Anytime there's anything going on with DMPs of Color, just shoot us the email, and our producer will take. She'll know what to do.
I love it. Yes, say less, because I was just going to put a call out for all DMP leaders in podcasting to see if we can get some folks to do quick 10-minute something about the DMP each day of that week. So I definitely will be emailing your producer to see if there's any availability to participate.
Oh yeah, we would love that. And yeah, because actually I'm about to be off for a couple weeks, so it's perfect. And this relationship with Mount Sinai, does that have anything to do with Dr. Kimberly?
Yes,
Dr. Kimberly. You know her. She was kind enough to do 2 episodes.
I saw the episode. Yes.
Yeah, that's lovely. So yeah, that's wonderful. So as we wrap up, any last final words with our? Actually, you know what? We want to know what have you learned, right? So it's almost the end of the year. You're coming close to the conference. A lot of physical work goes in, and at the end, it's a lot of mental and emotional weight that you feel, right?
Yes.
So what have you learned at this point in your journey as being the founder of an organization that has such significant meaning in the community and has set forth really a pathway for us to really do anything we want?
So many things that I've learned, but the things that are resonating for me right now is that it's a saying that Dr. Lolita Melhado gave me, was that my talent will make room for me. And so really betting on yourself. So if you have a vision or a dream, that you really push through and explore it. And like you were saying earlier, Dr. Madison, like when you are resolute in your vision and mission, people will come. So making sure you're aligned with those passions and your mission in life, because the people will come. And then because life is so short, explore who you are and take hold of who you are in all spaces. So for me, I'm like, I want to be authentic in every space that I can possibly be in. That means rocking Angela the Fro, rocking my sneakers with my suit or my gala dress. But just really finding out who I am, being comfortable in my skin, and making sure I'm showing up as that person in all aspects of my life.
Any way we can support you as Dr. Danielle McCamey?
The invitation of being here was really, really dope. So I feel honored to be on the show. But I love that you continue to amplify doctorally prepared nurses, DNPs of color, because we have it's an opportunity for us to really brand the expertise that we have with our degree. But for me as a person, just keep paying it forward, baby. Like planting those seeds of inspiration and encouragement so that we can continue to just really build and make such a significant impact in the world. And so for me, that's a reflection of my legacy. So I am eternally grateful that our connection has inspired you to inspire the next generation. That's all I could ever ask for.
Well, we can't thank you enough for your time and your talents. We look forward to having you back in the new year. We can talk to you about your life off camera and what that looks like.
That's what came me at after dark.
I've heard you say that on another show, actually. So that is definitely something you have going on.
We'll love to share.
But thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Remember, you can email us your questions and show ideas to tmi.melanin@gmail.com. If you haven't already, this is your chance to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to leave a comment and rate us on the Apple and Spotify podcasts. When you leave your comments, when you share, when you continue to follow every week and subscribe and hit the notification bell, it lets the algorithm know that this information is important, so that when people like you look for information like this, we'll show up higher in the search results. At the time of this filming, we release new shows on Sundays at 12 noon Eastern on every platform. But we do a special thing for the audio on the podcast. That comes out at 5 a.m. so that all our night shifters can be the first to get something and not the last. And so our day shifters have something to listen to on their way to work and maybe at huddle. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.